Tonight we'll see areas of rain early, mostly cloudy later with a low of 29, then mostly sunny skies for tomorrow and a high of 45. Monday night, mostly clear skies and a low of 24. I'm meteorologist Patrick McMillan on News Radio WGNS. Right now it's 51.
The maker of Roundup Weed Killer recently had its worst day ever financially. Here's why. I'm Jeff Colvin of Fortune magazine with the Fortune Business Update. Bayer is a German company best known in the U.S. for Bayer aspirin, but its main business is producing prescription drugs and agriculture products, including Roundup, which it acquired 5 years ago when it bought Monsanto. Recently, Bayer got bad news in both parts of its business. A jury returned a $1.5 billion verdict against Bayer after finding that Roundup contains carcinogens. The company had already set aside as much as $16 billion to resolve more than 100,000 cases over Roundup's health impact. But this was an unusually big verdict. 2 days later, Bayer stopped a late-stage trial of a potential blockbuster drug because it didn't work. The company lost about 20% of its value in a matter of days. Now Bayer needs some good medicine. I'm Jeff Colvin.
Portions of our programming have been pre-recorded. The Good Neighbor Network, WGNS, Murfreesboro, Smyrna. Flagship station for MTSU Sports. News Radio WGNS, Murfreesboro. The views and opinions on this show are those of the hosts, guests, and callers, and are not necessarily those of WGNS, its management, other hosts, or advertisers.
And that is so true. And we're going to shake it up a little bit here tonight. Ed Raymer with you for the Edwin Lee Raymer Show. And we do have some special guests here with us tonight, and it will be their opinions, I'm proud to say. Bill Levine has agreed to come by and talk with us. Martin Sir is here. Sid. I can't even write, Martin. And Matthew Stafford's with him. He's sitting over in the corner as he's the cheering section. So we may hear from him, we may not. So at any rate, and we're going to talk about something tonight that has taken hold in this country over the last 6-7 years. And it's the anti-Semitism, okay? And now, folks, we could go all over the globe with this. Some of you have been on Facebook already, I noticed. I hope you're listening, and we hope you call in, okay? But the first thing we're going to do is let these gentlemen get our history straight, okay, of what is going on because, well, I'll get into it with you in just a minute, okay? And we're glad to have you here, and fellas, publicly, thank you all for doing this. All three of you for taking your time to come up here. Thank you. Bill, you doing all right?
I'm doing fine. Thank you, Ed. I appreciate this opportunity to
thank you.
speak up.
Mr. Sir, pleasure to meet you.
Good to meet you, Ed.
Yes.
Thank you for inviting me here tonight.
Glad to have you. You came out of Nashville. I had no idea you had to drive down here so far.
But I'm familiar with this area. I grew up in Fayetteville.
Okay.
Yeah. And practiced law here periodically.
Fayetteville is just getting closer and closer and closer every day. We're growing so much with the transportation now. Everybody's sort of in Middle Tennessee. Oh, Fayetteville, yeah, I went down there the other day for something. Goodness knows what for. But for right now, Jackson, if you're ready, I'm going to kick this thing off. My name is Edwin Lee Raymer, and yes, I'm still a private investigator. Welcome aboard.
This is the Edwin Lee Raymer Show with your host, Ed Raymer, on your Good Neighbor station, News Radio, WGNS Murfreesboro.
And that is a little stiff upper lip for you from AC/DC. And yes, this is the Edwin Lee Raymer Show. I'm your host, Ed Raymer. This show is produced right here at the studios of WGNS AM 1450, 100.5, 101.9 FM, right here in the heart of the great volunteer state in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. And you can reach us tonight with your questions, comments, or thoughts at 615-893-1450. That's 615-893-1450. You can also send us a text to that number. Jackson will be glad to get it and read it and give it to us, write it down, copy it down, and let us read it. And we'll read it over there. For those of you that may not wish to go on live radio or be heard, we understand. Now, you can also listen to us via the internet. We are on YouTube Live. We are on right now. News Radio, WGNS. Through the week, the recorded shows we have are there. The podcast, WGNSradio.com. You can find us there. Listen live. My wife listens on Alexa. A number of different ways you can pick us up. We are no longer on Facebook Live, okay? But we are on YouTube, and we are on live right now, okay? And you can download the WGNS app. Take WGNS with you wherever you go. Listen whenever you wish. And I want to tell you about a friend of mine that we've got. Keep It Running, Heat and Air. If you're looking for a locally owned heating and cooling company, I want to introduce you to Joe at Keep It Running, Heating and Air. Joe's got over 12 years experience in this field, and his company, Keep It Running, they're located right here in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. They're fully licensed, insured, all that good stuff, and available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to help you with your family with all your heating and cooling needs. Starting to cool off out there, you're going to be needing Joe before long, so give him a call with a company you can trust. Give Joe a call at 615-962-2397. That's 962-2397. Or you can visit their website at Keep It Running, heatingandcooling.com. And, of course, you can catch them on Facebook as well. Thank you so much for being all of our sponsors. Thank you. Complete Yard Care, J. Mullins Jewelers. Tim, thank you. Thank you all so much. All right. Bill, started this with you. And, folks, I'm going to tell you something. I wrote this down last night. There is nothing, and all you got to do is go to social media. And my father and I, who had our differences, as most sons do with their fathers. Of course, I'm a bit headstrong, and he's no longer with us. But you know, of all those differences we had, Dad said some very, very good things in his life. And one thing he said is, there's nothing that's more ignorant sounding than a man trying to talk about something he doesn't know what he's talking about. And that has stayed with me, thank goodness, all my life. So this topic, the anti-Semitism, came up, and I just happened to have a buddy of mine, well, he used to be a friend, he probably won't be after tonight, but Bill Levine. And I said, you want to do this? He said, let me look at it. When did we talk last Saturday?
I think it was last Monday.
Monday,
right,
I believe.
In the week, yeah.
Excuse me. And we put this thing together. And so I'm going to let him and Martin do all the talking pretty much. I may have some questions here and there. If you have questions, please feel free to call 615-893-1450 right here at good old WGNS on a Sunday night. Get your cup of coffee and join us. Bill, tell us, the Jews have been persecuted for thousands of years, okay? What is behind all this and all that, please?
Yeah, I think if I even just started with the 20th century, you know, we have influential figure like Henry Ford, right, founder of Ford Motors, who was paranoid, I can't think of a better word, about the new wave of immigrants, you know, from Eastern Europe, fleeing from the pogroms, from the Russian oppression there, and joining the workforce in America. So that, what can we say, escalated into conspiracy theory about Jews running the world's finances and being loyal to a small, cabal of religious figures. And unfortunately, history repeats itself. If it's not Henry Ford these days, we have the Elon Musk saying that Jews have acted against the interest of white people. We have celebrities like Kanye. I don't even think I should flatter him by calling him gay.
I don't know, man. And, I agree with you.
And it's inevitable. I would think there's like a continuum between, Henry Ford getting kind of dyed-in-the-wool anti-Semitism early in the 20th century and, making every Ford dealer carry this propaganda tract, the Protocols of the Elders of Zion, which was produced to persecute Jews in Russia. And, of course, Hitler admired that tract. And I'm sorry to say, Hamas operatives read it as well. Now, again, I'm not going to go into the war right now, but the escalation of anti-Semitism against Jews has really been very intense, more and more reported incidents in the last 6 or 7 years. We might say that the previous president was something of a smoking gun with his anti-immigrant,
you might say it. I'm going to definitely say it. That's where all this comes about.
And the latest campaign speeches, pretty much just copying what Hitler did on his rise to power, and accusing outsiders of being vermin, undermining American society. So So, it's like a disease. It escalates at certain times when people are, insecure, territorial, tribal. And, unfortunately, you get the extreme violence of, somebody listening to Tucker Carlson. Thankfully, he's fired, but, he's not the only source of that.
Oh, he'll rear his ugly
theory
head somewhere else.
Yeah,
right.
So we get a shooting in a Pittsburgh synagogue 5 years ago, and more copycat crimes, threats right at the places of worship. It's, kind of a never-ending process of persecution. And let me say, I'm not just somebody defending the Jews. The anti-Semitism is like a canary in the coal mine. It could be anti-Asian, anti-East Indian. When I was growing up, they used to beat them up, the East Indian immigrants coming into New York, New Jersey. So, I think all groups that feel this kind of periodic bullying as supposed outsiders in our American society, we really need a concerted response to detect it, call it for what it is, not give these people the time of day to spread their ugly, hateful rhetoric.
And quit tiptoeing around the issue and get right into it. Because here's what I see. They hate everybody. And this goes down to a local, right here in Murfreesboro, when we had the Muslim issue that came up with the church that was built and all that. We had another group of people that early in the 1900s that had a bit of a problem here too. They were a religious group. They were called Catholics.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Brother Martin, where do you fall down on this?
I'm listening to Bill and appreciate everything he's saying. And I think one of the primary concerns that I have, particularly with the language about calling your adversary a vermin,
yes, sir,
is the way that it dehumanizes people. And
exactly.
And when that happens with our language, it leads to ultimate violence and taking of life of other humans. And to have a figure talk about his adversaries in that way,
yes,
makes me think we need something like Alex Haley. He was famous for saying, "Find the good and praise it."
Right.
And when that happens, in my experience, when we talk to another person and we find the good in them and praise it, we're seeing their humanity.
Sure.
And we're seeing their goodness, and the hate dissipates.
Right.
And that's what I saw growing up in Fayetteville, is in those relationships that people have with Jews. We were the only Jewish family at that time.
Were you all really one of the only, if not the only Jewish family at that time?
For most of the time in Fayetteville, that's right. And we had relationship with people. I remember my best friend, we were out playing football on a Saturday. I was about 14 years old, and people were kidding me and saying, "Martin's going to hell." And my friend Terry Boggs, who's now deceased, silenced the group. He was a good First Baptist member, like you said you were. And he said, "Judge not, lest ye be judged."
That's exactly right.
And he silenced the crowd. We went on to play football.
With common sense.
With common sense. That's right. That's right.
I believe that comes from a Bible verse, I believe.
That's right. He was a very faithful First Baptist.
Yeah, no, I wasn't First. I'm General Baptist.
Okay.
Yeah, we keep our liquor under the sink.
Okay.
And what are you laughing at, Matt? Just Matthew's over there rolling because some of the rich ones will keep it above the refrigerator. Okay. Okay. Serious topic. And I don't want to get off beat here, but we had a Jewish family where I was born, Muhlenberg County, Kentucky, coal mining country. Okay. And Mr. and Miss Cohen, and people loved them. They had the department store. Anything, I believe you all had the same thing.
Yeah. Lewisburg,
Mr. and Miss Cohen had the department store.
They were like Jewish ambassadors.
Yeah.
For the Jewish people.
It was perfect. I mean, and come Christmas, you went to Cohen's. I mean, have a birthday come up, you went to Cohen's.
Yeah.
They were the only game in town. My dad went in there one day for something, whatever it was. And Mr. Cohen ran. I mean, to tell you the truth, he pretty well ran the town. Okay, I mean unofficially. I mean, he wasn't one of those guys. I'm in charge, but that's not what I'm saying. Okay, if you needed something, you need a place to live. He's got an apartment, whatever. I mean, he had it. Okay. Dad said he looked down there behind that counter, and that safe was open. He said money was falling out. He said, "I've never seen so much money in my life." Well, nobody thought anything about it back then. You know, that's Mr. Cohen's money. You don't touch that. You know, and they left the safe open all the time. Try that today.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, but it seems like every small town. Thank goodness there was a family. The man I was telling you earlier that sold. I bought dolls from. He and his family were from up in Hartsville.
Okay. Yeah.
They were up there. If I could think of his name, I bet you'd know him, but I cannot think of him. So forgive me. But you know, this thing has come about with Trump, and I have a probably my lifelong friend Terry Jones. He may be listening, not, or he will be listening by a podcast sooner or later. And you know, in a way, with this Trump thing, and that's just what we're talking about, okay? And well, that's what I'm talking about. I know y'all don't want to really get off in that, but in a way, I'm kind of glad, and we've had this conversation via the phone. Kind of glad it happened. It showed me a side of people, and some people in my own family, that I never thought I'd ever see. What brought all this about? I mean, the hatred. I mean, and we were talking, folks, before we come in. I believe hatred's taught. I really do. Bill?
Yeah, I know when you said that before the meeting. I mean, I always go back to that song in South Pacific, you've got to be taught to hate what your relatives hate. So, you know, certainly when Henry Ford was a prominent figure, you had it allied with those radio broadcasts, actually by Father, Coughlin, which were preaching basically that Jews were the Antichrist. And, this could come out of somebody just having a unsettling experience buying something and having buyer's remorse and, blame the Jews because they're charging too much or they're ripping us off or they control the world's monetary supply.
They talk about, we're going to go to our first break here, Jackson, when he gets back in here, but, can't trust the media. They control the media. That's not true. Talk to Rupert Murdoch. And the poor guy had to come all the way from Australia, denounce his citizenship, become a U.S. citizen to come here and tear down our way of life. Or help tear it down. And he's done a pretty good job of that.
Oh, yeah. He had people hook, line, and sinker swallowing that nativism, that hostility, and if it starts with Mexicans, it's going to spread to every other possible group that, seen as, like you said, vermin, seen as deviant, seen as polluting our fine country and so on.
I could not have imagined this past weekend. Of course, everybody had a good Thanksgiving. We all probably ate too much and all that good stuff. But, we watched on the President Kennedy assassination. Such a different time back then compared to what we're into now. Just with the mannerisms of people.
Yeah.
First of all, everybody smoked. I see some smoking going on in my life.
Of things we improved on.
So maybe people were calmer because of that. Yeah.
You could still deduct 3 martini lunches too on your taxes. But,
hey, there's a thought. Okay. Yeah. Mr. Martin Sir's here with us. Bill Levine is here. Matthew's here with us. Jackson's on board. I'm Ed Raymer for the Edwin Lee Raymer Show. Stay with us. We're going to our first series of breaks. Back with you right after this. Hello, everyone. It's Ed with Private Investigations in Middle Tennessee. If you just need someone checked out on a background check, tag them a run, or if you need someone full-fledged to follow, give us a call. You can reach me at 615-390-7219. That's 615-390-7219. Or check out our website at piofmt.com. That's piofmt.com.
I felt so alone, scared, angry, full of self-pity. I just wanted to die, so I took another drink. Then I heard about AA and went to my first meeting. The people there talked about those same feelings. I was no longer alone. They gave me help to stop drinking and hope to start living. Alcoholics Anonymous, it works. Look us up. Check your phone book, newspaper, or aa.org.
Hey, this is Ed, everybody. I want to tell you about a sponsor of ours. We've got Complete Yard Care. Their slogan is, we do it all. Low maintenance landscape design. retaining walls, tree removal, stump grinding, lawns cut, mulching, landscaping. Now you can reach them at 615-785-0384. Or you can look them up on the web at CompleteYardCareTN.com. They have a 5-star ranking on Google. That's Complete Yard Care. We do it all. Go to J. Mullins Jewelers and check out their collection of reactor watches. They're located at 352 West Northfield Boulevard right here in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. And also custom-made jewelry. If you want it, they can make it for you. Also gifts for any and all occasions. Weddings, graduations, family reunions, anniversaries, all of it. That's J. Mullins Jewelers, 352 West Northfield Boulevard right here in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. And we are back. Thank you, Jackson. Appreciate you. Thank you so much. We're here talking with Martin Sir and Bill Levine is here, and Matthew's sitting over in the corner. He's afraid to get in the mix, so don't be scared, Tulsa. You know, if you got something to say. Come on. You disagree with these two guys? Or are you just going to sit over and just shake your head, yeah, like I'm doing? Okay. Right now. Martin, tell us your background. You're a lawyer.
I am. I grew up in Fayetteville, went to UT Law School, and practiced down there from 1980 until 1985. I was elected to the State House in 1981 from down there. And I didn't encounter blatant anti-Semitism at that time. There were some Klan members that may have voted for me, but relationship really makes a big difference.
Sure.
When I moved to Nashville and became active in our Jewish community and at the temple where I was past president, I began before 9/11, I was instrumental in starting a Jewish-Muslim dialogue in Nashville. I've always felt that relationship breaks down barriers, eliminates fears, and eliminates hate, whether it's anti-Semitism, racism, Islamophobia, or any other type of hate. If you know the person and you touch their heart, then the hate dissipates. And so I've enjoyed that, living in Nashville and being a part of that Jewish-Muslim dialogue. And similarly, I was a part of a dialogue of interfaith lawyers, Jewish and Christian lawyers in Nashville. And that's why I enjoyed being invited tonight.
Well, it was a different time back then.
Yeah,
and we have our politicians here, because when we moved, I just told you a while ago, and a lot of people know this, they're probably sick of hearing it, but we moved here in 1980 from Kentucky. And I tell everybody, I'd been around, man. I was born in Luzerne, Kentucky, and raised in Manitou. I've seen the world. So, like Fayetteville, you know. But I did, and we came down here, and Dad got a promotion. He was promoted to district manager at Life and Casualty Insurance Company. But the politicians down here, this place was totally Democrat.
Yeah.
I say totally. You know, you always got a few people that are on the outside looking in, but you had Andy Womack, you had John Bragg. You probably knew Mr. Bragg.
I did.
I called Mr. Bragg one day. We had a thing come up, a legal issue come up that they were going to be going to a vote on. I called Mr. Bragg. I called his office, and hello. I said, yes, I'm calling for Mr. Bragg. That's John Bragg. Go ahead. What can I do for you? Try getting that today. I said, well, this is Ed Raymer down in Oh, hello, Ed. What can I do for you? And, man, he actually answered his own phone. I'm sure the girls did. They may have been out to lunch or something like that, but that was a different environment back then.
Yeah.
You know, and these people, as you say, the connection, getting things done, that this thing of, I'm going to set myself up here and the rest of you underlings just do as I say, that don't really work well in a democracy.
No. And
I think we've
social media.
Oh my God!
It's
Yeah, echo chamber of all that hostility, people piling on, sure. And, again, like younger and younger people getting that infusion of hate and, being very maladjusted, access to guns doesn't help either.
Oh, my goodness. I want to thank Eric Crow. I've got so many people that are they're listening tonight, and they want to know, Rita, thank you. PT, thank you. John Williams, John, call in if you like. Stu Miller, Kerry Thompson, Eric Crow, thank you. Eric, you might remember him. His uncle was Secretary of State one time. Gentry.
Yeah.
Gentry Crow. Like I said, Stu, thank you. The phone is ringing. If we can get Jackson in here, we'll get it. But it was a different time. Much more reasonable time, I think.
No question about
Doesn't
that.
seem to be much reason left anymore.
Polarization is so severe now.
Right.
And go ahead.
Ready? Okay, we have a call online.
And streaming online at WGNS Radio.
Caller, I'm sorry we lost you. Give us a call back. Sorry. Give us a call back. We lost you. That will happen from time to time. Yeah.
Well,
go ahead.
I was just going to say there's a story in the Torah about polarization. At the time of the golden calf, the ancient Israelites were severely divided, and there was severe discontent. And God told Moses, apparently, get these people to do something good together and build something together. And so they built the tabernacle together,
Sure.
according to their talents and abilities.
Sure.
And the discontent and the divisiveness in ancient Israel went down.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I would love to see this country do more of. And I think we are doing a lot of it, is working together to build things together.
Yes, sir.
And that would reduce this polarization that is so severe. And as we know, a country cannot stand.
Well,
when it's
this
severely
little
divided.
device here has made it so easy to hide behind. We got people on Facebook or whatever it is, TikTok or X or whatever it is. We don't even know if that's real people or not. They've manipulated the system. We have a caller on the line. Jackson, go ahead. Caller, you're on the air live. Go ahead.
Mr. Raymer, I've got a good Thanksgiving.
Well, thank you. Is this Jeff?
Yes,
Hey, Jeff. What can we do for you?
Well, I just want to tell you, if you want some good Christmas music, good parody Christmas music, YouTube, put a guy, Google or put his guy's name's Bob Rivers. He's got some good Christmas kind of different parodies type things. So if you want some good butt music for December for your show,
Okay. I'll have to remember that.
Titles like this. Didn't I get this last year? That instead of
Okay.
gifts and things. There were 12 pains of Christmas. First thing is Christmas. Such a pain to me finding a Christmas tree.
Well, I love that song, the Christmas song. It's the most horrible time of the year. Now,
I'm sure you heard that, right?
the Redneck Christmas. Yeah, you got that. Yeah, that's what we're just mentioning rednecks.
But no, I just want to say you guys were talking about all the different stuff. I mean, it's like the Jews and Israel and them over there, they've been fighting for 1,000 years. Now, a 4-day ceasefire ain't going to change nothing.
Well,
It's going to get a few hostages out, which I'm glad they're getting out, don't get me wrong. But they've been fighting for 1,000. They're not going to stop fighting.
Right.
I mean, agreed?
Well, I'd like to see a Marshall Plan brought to
which
the
Marshall
Middle East,
we're talking about?
West Bank and Gaza.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be nice, but, you think it's ever going to happen? They just don't like each other. Period.
I think, the Arab nations now have relationships with Israel, and the oil rich nations have money. The United States can contribute money into it. Other Western nations, and have a nice Marshall Plan into the West Bank and Gaza.
Right.
And economic development would change people's attitudes.
Yeah.
It would change big time, but and everything. But I agree. It's just I just don't think they like each other. I think they've been fighting for so long. I think that's the only way they know. I hope that's not the case.
Yeah, well, back in the old days, like you were saying, I mean, there might have been more civility, but that was also when our CIA was, planting dictators who were favorable to our country and, business interests too. And, I'm not making a facetious remark about what should happen in the Middle East, but I'm saying, you really have to have credibility and trust. And, if the people living in Gaza really see the damage that, Hamas has inflicted upon them, it's up to the international community really to lead those people towards, a better form of government that they can accept. It didn't happen in Afghanistan for various reasons, very difficult to fight the factions in that country. But, the same thing I would say for Israel. How can you convince that nation that, Netanyahu is just going to lead them to constant path of peril and fear? And, people talk about cutting off American support, but what I understand is that a lot of that support is funding American arms manufacturers, who give their weaponry to Israel. So
I told somebody they wouldn't have a military in the United States.
But we know that Israelis or Jewish people and Arabs lived in peace, in a long period of time in the 20th century. I mean, the British mandate was not especially fair to both of them, but you can go back to times certainly when it wasn't a question of territorialism and fighting over land or resentment of one group holding power over the other. I like to go back and say there was a time actually in medieval Spain called the Convencia, and Arabs, Muslims, Jews, and Christians all had a very rich intellectual cooperative atmosphere. Some of that might be, romanticizing what actually did happen to those people on the day-to-day level. But, all that was ruined in 1492 when you had the Inquisition. So, how do we keep those very aggressive and hostile, authorities having, power over scapegoating and criminalizing entire populations, asking for them to be killed or, converted to their religion, right?
Yeah.
So, thorny situation. You would only hope U.S. learns from its past record, but gets the whole international community on board. I agree. And some have said that this fighting, broke out from, Hamas's invasion because Israel was, normalizing relationships with so many of the other countries in the Middle East. And, they're opposed to Iran and, various sources of funding there for the insurgent group. So, I hate to see innocent people killed in large numbers. I don't like seeing asymmetrical wars that take out such large numbers of people and, retaliation, but, I don't think the two sides as they're standing now can, ever come to a halt on their own. We really need this, widespread intervention. So maybe if the war does reach an end, we will have something like a, rebuilding that leads people towards whatever better activities than hostile, destruction of one another's lands and civilizations. It's just, hard even to imagine as an American. I've never visited Israel. I only know one person from my junior high who moved there because New York became too much of a violent place for her, actually.
Right. Yeah.
And, now she's in Israel with even more violence and, very loyal and patriotic. But, unfortunately, that's not going to lead to peace. They have a sense of who their friends are and who their enemies are, and it only becomes more intensified in people feeling this continual threat. So I hope I'm not cutting off, 5 or 6 more people who want to call in.
No,
but, I did invite people in the community.
I enjoyed the conversation.
Jeff.
Have a good week. Thank you.
Jeff, thank you. I hope you had a great Thanksgiving. Jeff Neal, a supporter of this broadcast, thank you so much. And all of you that are listening, I know we have so many people because I run into you through the week. And I know you're listening. I know you don't call because you're a little bit too shy, and I can understand that. But
Thomas Friedman, I think, had an article today about Palestinian Arabs in Israel and their relationship with Israeli Jews and how there is hope there among the people on the ground who have relationship that are Arabs and Muslims and Jews. And his article today talks about those relationships and how we could build upon that after this war. So.
Yeah, the Temple Mount is sacred to 3 world religions, and you hate to think it's a competitive situation of who gets to claim it, right? Such an important symbol for all of their cultures and histories,
Yeah, yeah.
You have to excuse me. I'm telling you something very important here.
Okay,
Philadelphia beat Buffalo, and this is important.
All right. Don't even ask me who's throwing the ball these days. Huh?
No, it's in football. It's not baseball. That's a pitcher, okay?
Yeah, well,
never mind.
Hurling the ball. No. Buffalo, that's how they're on the world stage.
That's
with
what I
those
talked to.
Bills.
You know, I talked to my wife. Said, what inning is it? There's not innings in.
No, I meant the QB tossing the ball. That's one, yeah. I remember when it was Jack Kemp, right? Big Republican leader in the House back in the 80s.
Great.
And even that's a more civil time compared to what we got
well,
in the
you're
House
right.
now, with
You're
Marjorie
correct.
Taylor Greene and her Jewish flying saucers causing fires in Florida. Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to say anything about our congressman down here, but he votes with that fringe group consistently. I have called his office, though, and there's at least one recent poli-sci graduate who's articulate and knows that it was a dumb but symbolic move to deny aid to the Afghan interpreters to expedite their visas to get out of that country when it fell. He knew that bill was going to be defeated, and, our congressman made it into like a symbol against government spending, but really there was some kind of
I've listened to that.
xenophobic or hostile alien conspiracy behind that, right?
Sure.
If we let one person in, we'll give them an inch, they'll take a mile.
Oh,
right?
yeah. We've
So
got
he
to
knows
listen
how
to
to
that.
play to his base, yeah.
When I first started doing this, and of course we've been here more than 10 years now, and I sat down with one of the political parties. I'll let you guess which one it was, and we had a talk. They asked me to do somewhat of a representation of the press, and I was asked, how are you going to do this with all these people out here? For example, people on Facebook, and as we mentioned, TikTok and all that. I said, they're no problem. You fellas are here tonight. Those people will never darken the door of this place. When you step out into the light, and I have to live in the light, Someone calls up and they tell, Ed, that's a silly show you're doing. That's the craziest show I ever heard. I'll take it. I'll take it for you because that's what I subject myself to. You may not like it. Don't. Hey, turn on CNN. Go to Fox News. Go to Newsmax. They're your cup of tea. Go for it. Fine.
Well,
go ahead.
It reminds me of talk about the olden days when Al Gore had thousands of open meetings when he was a congressman.
Right.
And the light was shined on his what he was doing in Congress, and he let people question him and
do you know that one of our senators, Blackburn or this Scott Desjardins, they've had no meetings whatsoever with constituents.
Yeah, not open like that.
No,
Al Gore would go to country stores.
They'll go visit someone and get a good expensive lunch if they're a contributor.
Right.
That's what we're into. No, you're talking about the open. Bring it on.
Right.
Tell me
like your show here.
Yeah.
That's
what are we doing that you don't approve of? What are we doing that? Is there anything you do approve of? Whatever that we can make better. Something we're doing we might make better.
Yeah.
Days are gone. And
it could come back.
Oh, I think you know what? I'm an optimist. I think eventually it will. I think it will. I saw this on. I saw it on YouTube, and yes, I do watch YouTube. When I get in tonight, I'll pull up YouTube and watch Meet the Press. I always watch Meet the Press. I know there's pros and cons to that too, but I try to just keep. And yes, I shouldn't be this way, but I am. If they've got a Republican on, I just zip on past that because I don't need to hear. I've heard enough. I don't need to hear any more of the Trumpers, or the maggots talking about, how great he is and all. That's fine. Go worship at your Savior's feet, whatever you wish to do. But it's on YouTube, and I forgot I lost my train of thought, but. He pulled into everyone. Yeah, the South Carolina, I think it was Clemson game, and he was booed.
Trump was?
Trump was. Yes. There was another game a week or two ago he went to. He was booed. These are things that they don't show you on some of these so-called networks. You know, they show you the good stuff. Well, I can show you the good stuff here. Have I had my fair share of, bad broadcast? Sure. Hey, I had Bill Levine on when he was by himself once. That's how desperate I was for a guest.
Yeah, that was a terrible show. Well, I still haven't figured out my campaign at that point.
That's right.
Right.
And he's been blaming me for that loss ever since.
Right, I need a scapegoat.
No, but now there's people that don't laugh about stuff. They don't laugh about stuff. They're going, no, that's just not funny. We don't, come on, people, have a sense of humor.
Yeah. The extremism in our politics.
Life is too short. Life is too short. I had a guy told me once, and I think I don't know if Matt would catch on to this. Now he seems to be a little bit younger than the rest of us, but he said, when you hit 40 or 45, he said, son, now you're starting to get closer to the end than you are the beginning. And said you need to lift your head up, Bill. I'm not talking to you.
I'm just trying to think, how do I get this back on track with anti-Semitism?
We're going to do it right. But he was right. He said you're getting closer to the end than you are the beginning. Please, go ahead. Say what's on your mind.
No, what's on my mind is, maybe I'll pick up what you said. There's going to be generational change where the children see the, falsity and hostility that their parents are clinging to, and they become their own people. They grow out of it. This region changing every day. Now, I ran for library board, and I didn't know that the county commission, the steering committee, it seemed like they'd already picked their candidate, a nice grandmotherly woman who said, protect the children from all this, evil and pornography.
By the way, they're going to be with us next week.
Okay.
The library people, we've got a couple that are going to be here next week.
Yeah. Well, they need to speak up for, free speech and serving everyone in the community. But again, what I saw was scapegoating, and it was, against these books that were sympathetic to, lesbian and gay life, or were giving what I thought was actually a very well-prepared kind of treatment of what changes, the body undergoes in puberty. And it was pitched for, 14 years old.
Sure,
but
right.
we had people wanting to turn the clocks back to like 1960, keep this book as far away from the shelf as possible. One of our commissioners said this was crap and all that. And they attacked the librarian more than necessary.
Some of our students can't go at our local public library now and rent a copy. And Martin's looking confused. We've got some problems down here.
I've read about them.
Yeah.
And you're not too far away.
Yeah, and you can't rent a copy of To Kill a Mockingbird?
Wow. You're not too far away from that warning. Was it Heinrich Heine in Germany in the 1880s or 90s?
Yeah.
Said if you burn books, you're not too far away from burning people.
That's exactly right. And we're going to the witches.
We're going
to find some witches.
Insane pastor up in Mount Juliet, Locke, who kind of co-ops Jewish hostility when he burns books, and then he blows the shofar, which is the symbolic way of greeting the new year for Jewish culture. Talk about culturally insensitive. And thankfully, we have a Holocaust Commission for the study of it in the state that could speak out against such abomination and atrocity. But my point about the library is, people need to demonize some other group. They can't realize the world is changing. They can't realize their kids are going to be open-minded no matter how much they try to censor. Kids have curiosity. They'll find out what they need to know. And can't you trust the kids to form their own moral center? So,
don't you trust your children that they'll find their own way? I mean, we all did, I looked at my wife and I said at the house, and I said, you can't get a copy. I read it in the paper. You can't rent a copy of To Kill a Mockingbird. It's 16, 17 years of age. I said, honey, these are a lot of books we were reading in school. Yeah.
But
did our parents fail us somehow or another? I don't know.
I almost see an ugly reversion to what was happening when you had the Freedom Riders, a lot of whom were Jews from the northern states coming down here, and some of them are missing to this day. We don't know what happened to them. They were shaking up the communities. They were helping with the boycotts of lunch counters. So, unfortunately, I think we have, like Pulaski, not far from Fayetteville. At least now they're celebrating an anti-Klan day, but at one time they were the biggest Klan center in the state, and
they all marched in Washington D.C. at one time. The Klan did.
Exactly, and they thought they were the equivalent. The John Birch Society said they were the equivalent of the B'nai B'rith, right? Like they were protecting white people, whereas the Jews and the blacks had their own protective organizations. Give me a break. These are hate groups. And thankfully we have the Southern Center for Law and Poverty, if I'm getting that right, where you can report the hate crimes so they could track it. I want to report the hostility against the mosque, right? The pastor of a big church here said something like Islam was a threat to world stability right out from his pulpit. I think they've quieted him down a little bit, but he still can be a wild card.
Well, I mean, here's the thing, and I told you my dad was a pastor for many years, and he worked in church work in his later years after he had retired from life and casualty, and really enjoyed it. He and my mother did too. But as I understand, this fellow in Mount Juliet, he's got bouncers, basically, big burly guys that if you don't really see this point of view, will escort you to the door. I'm proud to say I don't think my father had to have any bouncers at his church.
No, and they did this to women to intimidate them. They were playing with the Ouija board. It's almost like the witch trials of Salem coming back here. Yeah, and of course, don't even talk about Twilight or Harry Potter, right?
Oh, no, listen, the Ouija board, I am against that because it said I was going to be rich and famous one day.
There you go, stay onto it. It's just your nervous movements, right? And the lack of friction on the board that does it. But don't tell that to Pastor Locke, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah. By the way, our guests next week, they are on our side, okay?
We'll have to listen to that show, everybody, right?
And there's a couple of fine ladies that are going to be on, and they can't believe what's happening here.
Yeah, that local group, the Library Alliance, are getting some of the people from there. Yeah. So I've joined forces.
I'm never really sure. I've got people that take care of some of this. Thank goodness. I don't know. I'm glad. I'm just glad that people want to be on, and we're bringing it to your attention. And I know it's not pleasant. But
I have to say,
people have to know what's going on out there.
Always had good relations. I'm the advisor to the Jewish student group on campus. We always got along well with the Muslim students, and again, we have our Jewish community group. We get along well. We have dinners together with the people of the mosque. They were the first people who gave me a platform to speak when I was running for an office. So thankfully, we don't have the problems here that we see in some of those more prestigious universities, where there's problems with what the donors, the board of directors wants, the trustees, and then students who are just signaling that they're on the right side of history without really knowing a lot about the history or the complexities of the problem. And then the Jewish students feel like they're going to be the next people to be beaten up if they even, wear a Star of David on their neck. So terrible situation.
It's ironic you should do that. I saw a beautiful young woman last night. I was watching, there was a special, I think it was on PBS, I'm not sure. And she was adorable, just a beautiful young Jewish lady. She's a girl in her early 20s, and she proudly wears her Star of David. She dares people. And I'm telling you, I mean, I'll just tell you guys, my son brought this lady to the house. Hey, son, get her in here. Mom, get the coffee pot on. I mean, I'm sorry, I shouldn't say that, but it's a fact. I mean, she's gorgeous, man.
Yeah,
she is gorgeous, and she's proud to be Jewish.
Yeah,
that's fine. We're going to go to our last series of breaks here in just a minute. We'll get Jackson in here again in a minute because we're in the last. I'll tell you what, he's here right now. And I'll tell you what, let's do. Keep it running, heat and air. If you're looking for a local family-owned heating and cooling company, call Joe at Keep It Running Heating and Air. He's got over 12 years experience in the field, and Joe and his company, Keep It Running, are located right here in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. They're fully insured, licensed, bonded, and available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to help you with all your heating and cooling needs. If you're looking for a company you can trust, and it's cooling out down, it's starting to cool off, and you're going to need Joe, give Joe a call today at 615-962-2397. That's 615-962-2397. Or you can visit their website at keepitrunningheatingandcooling.com and catch them on Facebook as well. Back with you right after this. Stay with us. Hello, everyone. It's Ed with Private Investigations in Middle Tennessee. If you just need someone checked out on a background check, tag them a run, or if you need someone full-fledged follow, give us a call. You can reach me at 615-390-7219. That's 615-390-7219. Or check out our website at piofmt.com. That's piofmt.com.
I felt so alone, scared, angry, full of self-pity. I just wanted to die, so I took another drink. Then I heard about AA and went to my first meeting. The people there talked about those same feelings. I was no longer alone. They gave me help to stop drinking and hope to start living. Alcoholics Anonymous, it works. Look us up. Check your phone book, newspaper, or aa.org.
Hey, this is Ed, everybody. Want to tell you about a sponsor of ours. We've got Complete Yard Care. Their slogan is, we do it all. Low maintenance landscape design, retaining walls, tree removal, stump grinding, lawns cut, mulching, landscaping. Now you can reach them at 615-785-0384. Or you can look them up on the web at CompleteYardCareTN.com. They have a 5-star ranking on Google. That's Complete Yard Care. We do it all. Go to J. Mullins Jewelers and check out their collection of reactor watches. They're located at 352 West Northfield Boulevard right here in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. And also custom-made jewelry. If you want it, they can make it for you. Also gifts for any and all occasions. Weddings, graduations, family reunions, anniversaries, all of it. That's J. Mullins Jewelers, 352 West Northfield Boulevard right here in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. Okay, and we are back. Okay. And again, Bill Levine, thank you.
Sure.
Mr. Martin, sir, thank you. Matthew, thank you for coming up. We're going to finish. I want to, and we're talking about anti-Semitism, folks, okay? I want to tell you, this came from PBS, and I'm going to turn it over to these two fine gentlemen. There was a story that happened. It was in somewhere in Germany, I believe, and I'll stand corrected on all this, but the bottom line is there was a Jewish family, and they returned to their roots. It was after the Holocaust, okay? And the kids had grown up, and they wanted to see the house they had lived in, all right? Mm-hmm. You may have heard this story. They went back, and there was a former German soldier. Now, I don't know if he was with the SS or not, okay? I don't know. I would guess he probably was associated with that in some way at that time. He was an older gentleman. Said it was a very nice home, nothing extravagant, just in a typical neighborhood. And they said, we just wanted to come and see where we are. So we're citizens of the United States now. Of course, things had totally turned around for them, had been successful, had good life. Then they left. And a couple of nights later, the neighbors started hearing sounds coming from inside that house. Just bangs and booms and saws and everything. Within the days turned to weeks, and weeks turned into a month, couple of months, whatever. The man, and I'll stand corrected on his story, but this is the way it went. He had literally torn down the inside of that house because he knew that those Jewish people had come back to reclaim their treasure. Kind of ironic. I mean, he had lived, and the neighbors said he moved out. He had torn his house all to pieces. It was beyond repair. Never found a thing. That is just. Is that hatred or what? I mean,
that's real slash and burn. I think the German people for generations have felt guilt over what happened in the Holocaust, but then also denial is a facet of that. Yeah, you remember the film Judgment at Nuremberg, right? Where everybody wants to excuse the barbaric actions by saying they were following orders, they were part of a larger atmosphere and didn't realize what they were doing. Sure. So that's really regrettable in the history of expropriation of Jewish property. I mean, that's just like a drop in the bucket of what happens when entire Jewish communities have been uprooted. And I think it really takes a kind of tenacious person to go back to the scene of the crime, so to speak, and live in those European communities. And some of them have have been rebuilt well. If I ever get to tour Europe, I want to see those diasporic Jewish communities, in
Right.
Spain and
Yeah,
Germany and
sure.
France and so on. But, when we have this resurgence of, hatred, obviously, it's going to be tough to make people feel at peace going back and, whatever, correcting the historical crimes of
Well,
the
it's
past.
like I've said too, Martin, go ahead.
And they do have memorials in Germany, I understand, where there's a brick or some type of memorial in front of houses, and it gives the date that family was taken to the rail yards.
does. Really?
And moved off into one of the concentration camps too.
Yeah, on the
So
state level,
they've-
I think Germany has been extremely proactive for generations
Yeah.
in not erasing the,
Similar
the
to
atrocities.
perhaps this effort out of Montgomery to bring in lynching memorials into each county in the
I can't imagine.
yeah.
I just, it's like this crazy, this Alex Jones, okay?
Don't
It
even
always, I know, the Holocaust never happened. I believe he was the one that said that. There's been several of these
before
crazy
him, you've
crazy
had,
nuts,
deniers.
That's, that the Holocaust is just a big lie. It was all made up. No, you are the liar.
Yeah. Yeah, it's horrible.
It's ridiculous. It's utterly ridiculous. I am proud to say this station, if I came up here harping on some of the things they do, I wouldn't be on next Sunday. And I will say for this station, I'm proud of that. We may disagree politically on some things, but that would not be allowed here. And go ahead.
Too many good people here in Rutherford County.
Well, we've got our fair share of guns, but if here's the way I look at it, Martin. If we don't have broadcasts like this, and don't get me wrong, I don't mean to be your I'm not, here I come to save the day. I don't mean that. But to face the facts of what's going on out there and tell the truth, that everything is not always peaches and cream.
Right.
And we are on to you people that are you're out here polishing up, your AR rifle and all. Okay, keep polishing, just as long as you keep it at home.
Yeah.
I've said it before. My son and I, we have a house full of guns. We've got a closet full of guns. People, this gun thing, we don't own an AR, by the way, because I could go to jail if I shot a deer with an AR. If I shoot a man, they'll have a trial for me. I mean, it's ridiculous. But I'm about ashamed to even tell anybody I own a gun anymore. It's just so ridiculous. We got them we like target practice and the boys deer hunt, and they do a good job. As a matter of fact, I got to call my nephew this week. He was at our family farm this weekend. So I got people with orders for summer sausage coming in.
Well, can you believe that there are actually people who, say the Jews got victimized by the Germans all because the Germans took away their guns, and then that becomes an argument for right to own arms. This is like a phenomenon. Jews are only of value if they can, lead the Goyim, if I may dare say, the Christian nation to their rapture, and I have to admit, I get peeved. I'm not going to be able to do a lot about this, but those bumper stickers, you see, I support Israel with the Star of David, and then you see Jesus is Lord. Don't they even think that's a contradiction or a big violation of tactfulness? I mean, have they ever lived in a real Jewish community? Do they ever even let American Jews into their house of worship, or are they dealing with this happy fiction that the Jews in Israel will usher them into the final, judgment, and then they'll either be converted or they'll just, vanish during the rapture or something?
Well, that's the reason we wrote the New Testament, was for just people like you. And
but I'm
the
a
old
white
book
person.
it just wasn't good enough. And, it's not funny. It gets. Well, okay, never mind. My dad was a pastor, so I'm gonna leave it at that. So.
But I'd recommend a book. The title might offend a few of you, but it was provocative. I didn't agree with everything she said, but recently published. Dara Horn, the Gordon Jewish Community Center in Nashville, had her as a guest not long ago. But it's called Everybody Loves Dead Jews, or Why People Love Dead Jews, and it starts with the Anne Frank story.
Right,
Again,
okay.
do people see her loss during the Holocaust as part of a larger phenomenon that affected all European Jews, or did they pick out, like cherry picking, almost like from the Bible, one statement that says, I believe in the goodness of humankind? And I mean, we all would like to believe that, but that makes her like a sacrificial victim for people who want to deny that kind of violence and genocide and
give me this lady's
hostility.
name. This lady's name again?
Dara Horn, D-A-R-A-H-O-R-N.
Okay.
She's a novelist, but this is a series of essays. She takes on Shakespeare's depiction of Shylock, and Shakespeare wouldn't even have known any Jews in England. They were all banished in the 13th century. But, again, provocative. Is he sympathetic, or is this like your conventional arch villain, the moneylender, the stereotype, the tropes of Jewish people running the world in some kind of conspiracy, right? So, she has interesting reports. Well, we're getting towards the end of it, but I'll let other people read this. You can probably get it through Kindle.
I'll tell you what I'm going to do.
Another book that we read in Nashville, the entire community read, was Constantine's Sword. It gave the entire history of anti-Semitism and anti-Jewish action by the church.
Name it again, please.
History.
Name it again.
Constantine's Sword.
Constantine.
And it was initiated by a Christian lawyer.
Right.
And out of his church. And all the churches, many churches, read it in Nashville. And it really changed the climate, I thought, in Nashville.
The dynamic, yeah. Change it. Okay.
Yeah.
Martin, it has been a pleasure to make your acquaintance.
Good to meet you.
No, we're going to have you guys back because, like I said, we couldn't, and folks, we know this, we can't cover this topic in an hour. This could turn into a series, for goodness sakes. And Bill, always a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Yeah, sure.
And
I'll jump at the
Matthew,
call.
good to meet you. You're always welcome here. You have a voice. If you ever need anything, give us a call. And I'll tell you what, I'm Ed Raymer for the Edwin Lee Raymer Show. But until next Sunday at 8 o'clock, I'll catch you down the road. Good night.
Tonight we'll see areas of rain early, mostly cloudy later with a low of 29, then mostly sunny skies for tomorrow and a high of 45.